Hi, this is Lisa Hazard with We're All Psychic. I'd like to introduce this show with Misty and Akasha, with a little warning that I was too close to my microphone, so I didn't know it until it was over, but I have a lot of noise on my end. I tried my best to edit it out, but I hope it's listenable for you, and thank you so much.
Hello, this is Lisa Hazard and Misty Lure, and we have Akasha back. Oh, and guess
Yay!
what? We're all psychic. That's the name of the
Yeah.
podcast. And Akasha, um, do you still know we're all psychic?
Yes, I
She
still
still
know.
knows this. Oh, I love that. You
Still
know
know.
it.
I still know.
And Misty's here, and we just got so excited about Akasha getting like wanting to do this again that
Mhm.
we got all these millions of ideas, and we talked for hours about what we could talk about with Akasha, and we narrowed
Yeah.
it down. It took a while, and we narrowed it down to basically the negative energy, negative entities, negative forces. What are they? What's going on with that? What's that about? So, so that's what we're going to talk about. So Kasha, when someone comes up to you and says, I think I have an attachment, what is that? What's happening there? What's an attachment? That's the first thing I think of when I think of because someone's like, I have an attachment. Do you have an attachment? You look like you. I've heard that a lot. It's one of the first things I've
Yeah.
heard a lot.
I have heard that a lot, but here's the thing about that. That attachment could be so many things that it's like when somebody comes to me, it's like, oh my goodness, it could be so many things. But I have found that 9 times out of 10, it's really just a buildup of negative energy and their chakras being blocked. 9 times out of 10, it's that they're blocked and they have, no release of their negative energy.
So it's their own
Um,
negative energy manifesting in a physical way or in a way
It
they're
could be
perceiving.
not just their own, but their environments and the people that they hang out with.
But it affect their
You know,
energy too, right?
right.
Make them act like that.
Everything
Yeah.
has energy. Everything and everyone has energy. And so everywhere you go, you're collecting all this energy. Well, it's one of the reasons why a lot of people who are pagans smudge themselves. Even the Indians smudge themselves because of this,
And when she says that,
because
she's
we're collectors.
holding a sage smudge stick. If you've never seen one, it's a
Yeah.
bundle of white sage. She's just holding one. There's lots of different types.
Right. And 9 times out of 10, really what it boils down to is they've not had all that energy dispelled, cleared away. Because after a while, it can be a force to reckon with on its own, and it will impact and saturate every aspect of their life.
You're absolutely.
Mhm.
I love how you just described that, Akasha. I think that has never been explained to me better in a better way. Because that's exactly what I have felt that is too. In most cases,
Right.
someone themselves they messed up and they need help, and they're not
Mhm.
they're not getting any, and they're just hurting themselves more and others, and it feels
Or
like
they're in a bad
you can
environment.
see the
Or,
actions, but you
right.
can feel it when you know the person. You can feel something, and then you could say it's the chakra, but at the root of it is
Yeah.
psychological or a physical something in making that
Something
chakra
is
that way.
wrong.
Something's
It's
wrong.
usually
Yeah.
something's wrong. And when I say that, it doesn't necessarily mean it's the person, because I have found that 60%, sometimes even up to 70%, it's their environment. It could be family, it could be past environment,
Oh
how,
yes.
childhood or college or high school, or some environment that they still have attached to them, that's just that they haven't let go.
So, like, when someone comes and they have an attachment, and you realize it's not that 9 out of 10, and it's a one out of 10. Like, what are examples that could be? What's the most common
Ooh,
type of like an energy attachment or a negative entity
okay.
attachment, not like a shadow
After
person?
that, no, actually, usually after that, it is usually that this class is usually broke into a multitude too.
Okay.
But the most common here will be either they are like a empath medium, but don't know that they are, and their gifts are starting to align. Or they've hidden their gifts for so long because they're afraid of this little shadow or this little that or whatnot. Um, or it could even be family curse, something that, and then curse is the wrong word too. More like an energy that just keeps on following your family. As everybody has their negative aspects of the family. And it's finding ways of blocking that negative aspect and protecting yourselves from it. I get a huge number of it where it's more like you'd call a family curse, but I try to avoid the word curse because by using that, you in turn can curse yourself. So to try to avoid the psychological aspects of that, there are family attachments. I'll call it that.
I have a
Yeah.
friend that has one, and I'd like to ask you about that if we have a chance to during the show.
Yeah, with family attachments, it could be the energy of the family, or it could be spirits that are known to the family, whether they be guardians, whether they be messengers, or entities that are just known with the family. I mean, I found out with my family, we have a banshee tied to our family.
What is a banshee for you?
Well, actually, a banshee is pretty much a person who's drawn. It's an entity that's drawn to pain that comes from extreme severe loss. And actually, that's what the technical term of a banshee is.
I always think of the Irish version of the banshee. She's the lost woman when someone's about to die, she comes wailing.
Yeah, she's wailing because of the loss. She became into being because of loss and pain.
Oh, okay.
Even the Irish one came into being because of loss and pain. And is attracted to it and feeds on it.
What is it? What is its nature? I mean, what is it? Spirit itself? Is it a bunch of them hive mind? I'm curious. No, I'm asking sincere questions.
No.
I got a real literal mind here. I want to know about them.
Well, I mean, I think really what it is okay. I think of beings and stuff and entities as at one point in time they had like a physical form, and sometimes some pain was so strong and they held on to it and refused to let go of it that even in death that pain became them and turned them into something different. And with each entity, the root of it is always some kind of pain. Something caused the transformation into them being what they are. I Banshee I'm familiar with because of my own family ties, talking to family later on in life. Most of the family know her as the Lady in Black, or the Wet Lady, because every time you see her, there's a puddle. There's always water in connection, and she comes to warn. She comes to warn of trouble or danger, and never me of death, but everybody else of death.
Okay.
But like anytime there's something bad that's going to happen, I mean, I have seen her regularly.
Wow. Okay.
She does like to show up.
So the way you explain it, I really like that. And I want to add
more like a guardian, though.
Yeah,
she's a family guardian.
It sounds like she's not bad news. She's not feeding off of it. Yeah, it's like I always.
I mean, she's still feeding off her pain.
Yeah.
Oh, she still feeds off of her pain.
Taking it for you, though. It just happens to nourish her.
Payment.
It's
payment. We call it payment.
All right.
I'll call it payment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I think of these different types of spirits that I have interacted with, like such as what you've explained, I've seen stuff like that in certain, not that, but maybe I have seen one of those in a family before because I'm familiar with it. But I feel like some of these can also be from other dimensions, other
yes,
they're all like everything after.
Oh yeah,
like the space of astral space or whatever I'm learning. I feel that is a good term for it right now. We've all felt this way, I think.
Well, but there's also portals.
Yes, and there's portals, and there's like things going on that we can't perceive with the senses we talk about.
Well, I mean, you're considering when you're going dimensions and realities, for every choice there is another you, another million you making a different variations of that same choice.
Yeah.
So, which is creepy.
It's weird.
Yeah. It's hard for our minds to wrap around.
Yeah. And that everybody else has the exact same thing going on.
Right. And then you've got reality.
Yeah.
And then you got realities and realities and dimensions. You have some that are not human.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm
Yeah.
talking about. The non-human.
So there's
I've had a
so
lot of
many.
interactions with those more in the last few years,
Right.
where
And
I've
they
been
can
more
come
open
over.
to it. Yeah, that
Yeah, they could
surprises me.
cross over. But
Yeah.
most of them are not here to harm.
No, not
I
at all.
mean, that's when you're talking about entities and spirits and stuff, a lot of people want to be terrified of them. Actually, if you're terrified of them, just remember like animal out in the wild. You don't want them to smell your fear because they're going to be attracted to you. They're not going to know why, but they're going to know you're afraid. So they're going to be afraid. And they're going to lash out because they're afraid because you're afraid. And that's
Mhm.
usually a lot of times what will happen even in the world of an entity.
It
Yeah, it's
happens in
not
the world of
that.
people. Some people see
Hmm.
someone pissed off and they want to go hit that person in the bar. You know, I'm sorry,
Right.
they
Yeah,
want to
they're
bargain.
Yeah.
angry.
There's a food fight in the cafeteria. Let's just throw food. You know, I mean,
Yep.
that's how riots start. You know,
Yep.
Yeah,
yeah, it's kind of
yeah.
So, I
in the
mean,
real in this plane. You know,
right. So, I mean, when you're dealing with attachments and stuff, there's so many different kinds, but a lot of the family attachments when it concerns spirits and entities are not bad. Unless of course it's a bad family member, that the family has found and chosen to keep alive in memories and stuff. Well, certain family members should not be kept alive in people's memories. Eventually should die out as quickly as possible. Due to the fact that their energies should not be welcome.
I
This should,
understand. Yeah,
but some families can't let go of certain people, and that makes it hard. And then it's like the people that don't know of, Uncle Phil that used to mess with little girls because most of the family is males, and they thought he was cool and awesome. He took them on hunting trips. Let them use their cabin whenever they wanted. They never experienced being a little girl. They really never talked to their little sisters and found out what was going on. If they did, it only happened once or twice and then was shut up because, hey, it's a family secret. And
Mhm.
then families, Uncle Phil is gone, long and gone, but everybody's got mementos of him in their houses and stuff like that. And his energy is there, live and strong. Especially, let's say, one of the little girls he messed with killed him. Then he has a violent death. A violent death definitely can keep a soul here longer. And you got all these mementos everywhere. The whole family's keeping somebody alive that really had his place. It's had it, had their time. Should be released.
man, that's just amazing. I could just listen to you talk like you. I mean, that's just amazing. Misty, do you have any questions right at this point? Because I'm just like,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
because
Yeah.
yeah.
So like if you do experience like one of these entities, um I've seen a lot of shows over the years, I love like haunted house stuff, and a lot of them say you basically have to tell them to go towards the light and to leave, and stand your ground in it. What are your thoughts on that?
um, I've helped assist many move on. Some, no matter what you do, will not move on. But in any case, for the majority of them, as long as you stand your ground and you be firm,
Yeah.
and a lot of the people that I that have the most trouble of them are the shy people. They seem to be attracted to the shy people because they know the shy people are not going to have that command in their voice. You're
Mhm.
disciplining a child. You've got to have that sternness. You
That's a
have to
good way to put it.
order
Like
it
a
to
child,
get
it is
go.
like disciplining a child. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah,
And because that's exactly what it is. They don't have the mentality anymore. They have more of like a childlike mentality.
yeah. Because it's not all the way them. It's not all of them.
Mm-mm.
It's just like a
No,
piece.
it's more like a
I've had
shadow of them.
Is that the piece that maybe the soul retrieval's about in shamanism? I would love to do a podcast with a shaman. Any shamans? Hey, intermission. Any shamans out there, especially if you're in Alabama, run away if you're in Alabama.
Well, I mean, I
I'm just kidding.
counted a certain aspects of the person, various aspects of the person that remains.
Yeah,
And when you concern a person, there's so many aspects of
yeah.
them. And I've
Energetically
dealt
too. Yeah, I mean,
right,
yeah,
even with dealing with the dead. there have been some times where I've studied the same person, but it's like fragmented, only a small
Yeah.
part, and then I'll see them again and again and again throughout a place, but they're different, but they're the same, but they're different, and that's just because it's just it's more like a fragment.
That's what I was thinking of
And
it
those are
as.
a whole
Yeah.
lot harder to deal with when you're dealing with something that's fragmented, because you got to
Yeah.
put the whole together, and you might not want to have the whole together before you
Yeah.
banish it. And the idea is to banish it. You can try to tell it to send it to the light, but there's certain orders that I feel that you can't give, because
The certain negative
some
ones,
people,
right? Some that
well,
you.
it doesn't matter, because sometimes you could say go to the light, and they're not meant to go to the light. Their journey is elsewhere, and just because it's not the light doesn't mean it's a good journey. That's not a good journey.
Okay.
It could mean that they're going to a different dimension that's a hell lot better for them and happier,
Yeah.
or a different plane of existence, or it varies. I've discovered that through astro projecting. That when it concerns the entities and stuff, that it isn't the choice of going to the light. They have a multitude of choices.
Well, let me tell you this. I've had experience with one, and it really hit me when you said that they like to come around when things aren't going good and things are bad.
Yeah,
That was the
they're
only
attracted.
time. Yes, that was the only time that it came around. Actually, was probably the worst time of my life. You know,
You're
everything was
vulnerable.
bad,
You're tasty.
very, very negative energy around me, and that's when it hit. But it once once I got out of that place and got out of that situation, it was gone.
Right.
And I mean, it was so bad. I took a picture of it,
You want to tell the story?
or I took a picture. Well, I think I have before.
I remember you've told me, but I don't remember if it was on the podcast or not.
I don't know. I can't remember. But anyway, to make a long story short, I was having these dreams, and I could feel this negative energy around me. And so I got the camera out and I took a picture, and in the background next to me, there was like a demon in that picture, like a smoky, yeah. It was kind of like smoky, and it was like a skeleton kind of face, maybe. Yeah, it was not good at all. But yeah, it was only there when things were chaotic, and after
like a bottom
that,
feeder.
what's that?
A bottom feeder.
What's a bottom
Yes,
feeder?
you've told me about the bottom feeders before. This is really cool. I mean, not cool, but it's
they're more like the parasites of what I would call parasitic. They really are, they don't really have any power or anything. All they really can do is feed. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, they usually feed off of the waste of others. So it makes me wonder. I mean, it sounds like what I would call a bottom feeder, and even the energy and the flavor of it when you're describing it remind me of like a bottom feeder feeding off the waste, the leftovers. So something that trauma and stuff that happened was probably caused by something very dark and something big in the energy realm, and it was probably could be even demonic that happened that tore you down. Because once somebody's torn down and they're in a very low state, you attract so many types of parasites. It is not even funny, because your energy, you're just tasty candy at that point in time. And your beacon, your color and your sound, everything is just, it makes you so edible to them. And it's why it's so hard when you get into a state of depression to fight for yourself back, because you're not just fighting for your mental, emotional, psychological, and physical health. You're really fighting for your spiritual health to keep yourself whole and rebuild yourself, because you legitimately have been torn apart more than what you think. Because if you were to look at a depressed person through the eyes of somebody who can see energy, and can really see what's feeding off of them, it can be quite scary.
I
And
bet.
sometimes you can see the big entity that caused it, but a lot of times that big entity or whatever it was that caused it is long gone. And all you're left is seeing is what I would call the bottom feeders feeding off of
Hmm.
the waste that is keeping you trapped there. Because
Yeah,
they're
and
feeding you the negativity.
a lot of it was the other person I was with too. I think that they're the ones that brought the negative, and but you know what though, after after it was over, even when it was still happening, but we finally got rid of most of it, I know I had like protection from like angels. I
Yeah,
know I did. Like I could feel them,
we
and they
all
did a
have
lot of
protection.
protection.
Well, it seems the
Yeah.
angels and demons kind of go hand in hand for some reason. I don't know what's up with
But
that. I'm learning more and more about the both, but they
well, I don't really call it necessarily angels. A lot of people call the positive or the light force angels or angelic because they are, entities and creatures of the light.
Hmm.
So angels, the term angels is quite, I have found, fluid for anything that, of, the more good, the more positive side of the force and stuff.
Right. Right.
But you have to understand the reason why they go hand in hand, the darkness and the light, is because they will always war each other. They're
But they
going
seem
to.
like
Yep.
such extremes of
Hmm.
it, of love and absolute lack of love is what they seem to represent to me. Love
Hmm.
and complete
Yeah.
utter hate,
Yep.
lack of love,
Yeah.
fear.
They
And
do. I mean, but
there's
then
just
again, the goal is
there's
our
nothing
soul.
there. It's like, yeah, because they want to feel love again and they can't otherwise. They destroyed that part of
It's more than that.
Okay, that's why I think they have to go find it somehow, like find to get it back. I have no idea. I'm just like
It's
random,
actually more than that. Our souls are the energy in our spirits and our souls is that of a nuclear bomb. So the intense amount of energy that we possess inside of our beings is unsurmountable. I mean, the war is over that energy.
Yeah.
And control over that energy. And a lot of people don't
Uh-huh.
understand how precious that energy really is. It's way more precious than anything you'll find on earth.
Well,
Because it's powerful.
I've always heard the saying, the devil doesn't want what it already has. You
Right.
know, I mean, I've heard that all my life, and really, it makes sense. Like that's really what you just said. I mean, why would the devil go after a dark energy when they're already dark?
Yeah, but it's not just the dark energy that's going after our souls. It's both. They're both fighting.
Well, yeah,
Okay?
yeah, right. Yeah, of course they are. Yeah.
And some people look at it as this way: is it's a war. Okay, they both want it, but I want it too. It's mine. So,
Yeah.
and that's where a lot of the pagans are at this type of age. They're tired of seeing the good and the good and the bad fighting. Both sides always fighting over us. And there are some of us that have just opened our eyes to the point. That's a huge part of it is jealousy, and the other part is control. But also, if mankind was to combine our souls together, we would be more powerful than both sides.
Yeah.
We would actually create a third side. And we wouldn't be so vulnerable to either side. And I know a lot of people think the good side is good. It has its drawbacks too. Just say.
Yeah.
I would not call an angel down down in a situation and make a deal with an angel. I just would not. Just like I wouldn't do a demon. I
I
wouldn't
know,
do
right?
either.
I wouldn't do a deal with
Neither.
no deals, no deals with any entity, please. Unless it's
Yeah.
like, unless it's like I'm helping them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's mutual, and
like
once it's
mutual,
over, it's
yeah. It's like
over.
if
Yeah.
it's like my cousin and or my grandfathers or and they need a favor, it's
Yeah.
like
When you
I'll
part ways,
tell
the
a
deal
man
is
who's
done.
yeah, stuff like
Yeah. But from okay, we're going back up on track. When it concerns attachments and stuff, majority of the times I find out and figure out once it's not their energy or in a blockage, that it's usually a good bit of times had to do with some kind of family or some kind of trauma. Now, if it's trauma, then it's having to help them work through their trauma, and that's more of the psychological. But like I just said before, psychological does not equate a spiritual battle. Actually, the bigger psychological traumas that we're going through and having to heal from, the more of a spiritual battle we're going through too. It just
Mhm.
it goes hand in hand.
Yeah.
An assault on one part of aspect of ourselves is an assault on all of it. And then once you clear out that, there's a very small percent where it's others. And when it concerns these others, you have to be very, very, very careful about how to deal with them, because some can be just as dangerous to expel and detach from a person or as it is to be in the presence of it. And then if you go after it wrong, you could end up giving it more power or even power over yourself. And
Yeah.
then there's also the contamination effect. When it concerns some of these darker entities, they can really attach, and banshees can attach. I've known some that had like a werewolf energy that was attached, and come to find out it was something that they needed to deal with from their past in order to, get the werewolf to leave them alone. And somebody
Mhm.
was trying to protect them, but they didn't see it as a protector. So they were fighting their protector, and it became vicious and horrible.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So which is a weird case. I mean, in that case, that was a weird case that I heard. But each case is totally different, and how you go about it depends on treatment, because sometimes it's healing the physical and the psychological at the same time as dealing with the entity. And then sometimes you have to have a group. You will not want to go up against some of these entities by yourself.
No.
And
No.
then the group that you go with has to know like the rules, because like some, when you're going through the process and the entity is appearing, because by pulling them out they actually take form, that to not look at them, because by looking at them you yourself can become possessed by them. There's safety tips with a variety of a variety of them. And I know like the most dangerous
What?
ones are the
Okay.
ones
Tell
like
us.
from
Yeah.
Catholic Church. When I was in the Catholic Church, um we heard about demonic possessions. When it
Yep.
concerns those, you have to be very, very, very careful, because you can be possessed just from earshot, if your spirit is not strong enough, by looking upon them, touching them. And when it concerns that kind of a possession, it's really destructive to the body. And
It is.
that's actually scarier, because then you got to figure out what phase of possession that they're in. Um, because it actually takes quite some time for a possession to happen. It
How
doesn't just
long?
happen overnight. It usually takes years. You usually see a lot of the violent stuff that people are talking about on shows
Mhm.
before the possession happens. That's because there's an actual physical battle for the soul that's going on.
So what can
Um,
somebody do if they think that they've got something like a lot of anger issues all of a sudden on them, and they've got some of the signs, or will they even know?
they will not know. I mean, the person who's going through it usually will not know, and that's the scariest part. Everybody else will
Mhm.
see it. Um, the only way the person really won't know until they start seeing marks and cuts and stuff up on their body, and a lot
And
of
it's
times
always
it'll
a
be
three, isn't it?
self-inflicted. Um,
Really?
no, not all the times. The marks and cuts and bruises can show up in various forms, even burns and stuff. I've
Okay.
even heard of some where the cuts started looking like they were happening from the inside and
Mm.
showing on the outside. That's been creepy and weird. And with that, the only thing I mean, there's herbs and stuff that you can use, very powerful herbs, and a whole lot of them. and there are all kinds of chants and stuff that you can use to help and aid. But the basis of exorcism doesn't work unless the person themselves helps.
Yeah.
Unless they themselves make the choice to expel, there's nothing anybody can do until the demon finally lets go. And
Yeah.
the demon may or may not let go.
Mm-hmm.
Oftentimes they will, because once they possess the body is nothing. It's worthless. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it's horrible what happens to the body, but it's not as often cases as that happening. Most of the time, like a lot of times with people who are dealing with paranoid schizophrenic, I do believe a lot of them have either encountered demonic possession or is battling demonic possession or has, had fought and
Mm-hmm.
suffered damage because of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fight. It's a really, really big battle. That's just from my experience of being like been in the mental institution a few times, and their energies when they're in the worst of it's like a battle.
You
Huge battle.
that's what I was diagnosed with. Well, I was diagnosed with schizoaffective, but
I don't think it's the
that's my
same.
experience, man. I don't know. I had a psychotic break, and I can't. All the health problems I've had since you've
Well,
known
yeah.
me. Nothing has touched the terrifying. I mean, the physical, the emotional, everything. The psychosis. A full
Well, I think
psychotic
right. I
break
think
felt. A
right
full
now.
psychotic break felt like.
Right.
I
Well, I
can't
mean,
begin to explain it.
I
But when
think
you
right
talk about what
now
you
is
talked
you're
about,
suffering the damage. I think right now you're suffering through the damage that was done.
oh, I'm okay
Uh,
now.
Yeah, you're
I
okay
did for
now.
a
Yeah,
long time, man. Oh shoot, man.
yeah.
I would go back, but sometimes I'm actually doing stuff like what Marissa talked about in a podcast we did last night. I haven't finished mixing it, but the shadow work type stuff. I've been working
Right.
on that. So a lot of people have, and people keep talking about it. So I was like, well, I'll look at some of my shit. I'm gonna do it
I
too. But
actually
it's
don't recommend
hard.
shadow work. I don't recommend shadow work this time of year.
Yeah.
I have had a lot of people, especially over the past couple of months, sit there and
The
ask me
thin
to,
veil. Yeah.
and I sit there and I tell them, no, not this time of year. Hit me up in the spring. And the reason why is because people are battling depression as it is this time of year. Shadow work can bring you on the brink of depression very, very easily. It doesn't need the help of the season, the time of the
Yeah.
year.
I don't know why, but for
Yeah,
me it was already just happening. I was hallucinating
it does
again,
but here's
but
the
it
thing, it
wasn't
does.
it was because I was needing to process some of the stuff
Right.
that I had
This
already
time of year,
I've
we
been
always
putting
do it.
away. There are stuff whenever I don't deal with something and I put it away, you know
Right.
how that is. You put it away.
Right.
Yeah, and then
Oh,
you deal with it's time to deal with it. It's like,
right. But this time of year, we naturally do it anyways. Okay, that's
yeah.
what brings on the
That's what
depression.
you're saying. Okay.
Yeah, so you don't need to force it when it's already, let the natural part happen on its own, but start, the actual physically, thinking about it in spring. Because in spring, it's hard to remain depressed when there's pretty flowers and babies, little baby
Weather.
bunnies
Yeah.
and baby birds and, yeah, kittens. Yeah, well, you got all the pretty little things. So it's easier to have that balance that you need when you're doing shadow work. Because when you're doing
Yeah, that
shadow
is a
work,
good
it's very
idea.
easy to get trapped. And if you're doing it like in November, December, January, February, I've known people who've gone and done shadow work during this time of the year, and they didn't come out the same. And they
It's
usually needed hospitalization or they died.
It's terrifying.
Because of
Yeah, when
depression.
you
Yes.
go into a psychosis doing that. And on
Yeah.
that note, Akasha, I want to leave him hanging for you. I want to leave him hanging for you.
Okay.
Anybody who's got any kind of issue like this, definitely talk to your doctor. Too.
Definitely.
Every angle, spiritual, physical, mental,
Right. But it's all
emotional,
together.
magical,
It's all
get
together.
it all together and try. If you've got a problem, execution, get it. Not yourself.
And do your
something.
research.
Figure it out. Yeah, do your research. Find help and look into
Yes.
every aspect, medical,
Yeah.
spiritual, anything that could be wrong. Find any way you can tell it yourself and have other people help you ask them. And thank you, Akasha. I love you like a sister. And
I
Misty,
love you
you're like
too.
another sister. It's like I got all these sisters now. I don't know where they came from. Mikey's like, why do you have so many girlfriends? I was like, I don't know. They're great though, aren't they? It's like, I never had this many girlfriends. I never have any friends. Just like I have all these friends like that I actually see and talk to regularly. I was so shy when I was younger. But anyway.
Well, because you're so awesome. That's why.
No,
Yeah.
No, I didn't have any
Yeah.
friends. It wasn't that I was shy. I was a
I was shy. I
wallflower.
was shy. I was shy. I just didn't like.
I was
I
a
felt so humiliated. I was like, the empath thing when I was younger and not knowing what it was. I felt everyone
Yeah.
else's sensitivity, like when they
Oh,
were
I did.
embarrassed or something. I thought it was me, and I was also feeling that way. I was like feeling ridiculously embarrassed by everything I thought.
Right.
Like I felt like everyone could read my mind, and I was really paranoid that anyone knew I was
Because
thinking
you could
that.
read most of
You know?
theirs.
Yeah.
This was
Yeah.
fun for me too. Well, I was always
It's all
moving.
confusing.
I was moving from state to state at times, well, most of the time, growing
Yep.
up and in school. So,
Me too.
and I was an empath, so I felt everybody's feelings as if they were my own, and I had PTSD on top of it all. So I just tried to blend into the background. I didn't want
Yeah.
anybody to see me because I sure saw and heard and felt them, and too many times answered their thoughts to where I was like, okay, I'm scaring my classmates, so button my mouth when I'm
Yeah.
at school,
Yeah. Yeah.
hide away, don't say nothing. It wasn't that I wasn't sociable. I could have socialized. I just too many times I made too many oopsies that scared too many. And if it wasn't my magical abilities that did it, it was my psychological stuff because of the childhood traumas and stuff. I couldn't talk about my childhood, and when I did slip,
People
then it
didn't know
was,
how to they didn't know what to say or do, did they?
yeah,
Yeah.
no, they didn't.
And
And
and if I were to talk to people about the things that were even like that, I didn't have things like it happened to me that happened.
yeah.
And we got less than a minute, then this thing explodes. Got a lot of
No,
bombs about to explode, guys.
no.
We got to talk about our
Okay.
traumas. We start getting to shadow work. It's trauma time. Okay.
No shadow work.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. Misty, thank you. Akasha, thank you.
Thank you.
I love all
Thank
of you.
you.
Have a great night.
Bye.
Bye, Akasha.
Oh, the bomb's coming, the bomb's
Bye.
coming.